All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Tag Out Podcast. We are tagging out. My name is AJ East Coast, and I am your host.
And it's me, it's Jeremy and T. How you guys doing out there?
Listen to that crisp sound. That beauty. Let me get some Hulk Hogan. Oh, wow.
Smooth, baby, smooth.
That smooth, lovely voice coming to us all the way from the West Coast is brought to you by a brand new Yeti mic. Look at that.
Isn't it the best investment I've ever made for this podcast?
We're both.
Really good.
We're in the Yeti crew now. Both of us.
Yeti crew.
Yeti crew, part of the Tag Out crew.
Sponsorship.
Right?
Come on, Yeti.
Mine's not in the camera view. I gotta put mine up. Here we go. There we go.
Yeah, I put. Make it look aesthetically nice.
Right. Look at us on the up and come up, guys. Speaking of that, since we're on Apple and Spotify over the last couple weeks, shout out to Fair Kings Productions and Brett and B-Dog and Ray over there doing a good job putting up all these episodes that we've got. We've got enough on there that we transitioned into season 2. We've got over 75 people listening consistently now. I'm excited. I can't wait to keep going on more episodes, man.
75, we'll have 750 to 7,500 to 75,000 to 75 million.
I hope so. And
so
and I'm saying this now just to speak it out to the world, to existence. If you are a listener and you have a small business, mom and pop, whatever it is, that you own or you work for, you're affiliated with, send us a message and we'll look into it and we'll see if we can add you guys to our sponsorship list. Depending on the product, depending on the place, we'll talk about it and see if you guys are right for us. So now, we're opening up that right now, like our sponsors, of course, Fit and Prep. This episode and more sponsored by them. You could be just like them. Check out our video on there where we talked about the convenience of the food, and then we're also going to do an unboxing. Three meals each. We've got a fish meal. There's a vegetarian meal. Some with steak, a chicken meal. So you guys are going to see a lot of cool stuff on Fit and Prep. But they're fitandprep.com, guys. Head over there now. You guys, we've been talking about it for weeks, but now officially you can go to their website and search into your zip code, see if they can get the food out to you. Fitandprep.com. That's FITNPREP.com. You guys can see if your zip code is deliverable, so you can get some meal prep stuff too.
Ooh, it sounds good. It looks good too.
Oh, I get so excited.
Great. I want them to ship out here to the West.
Yes, I hope they can. And you know what, guys? A lot of the times people will avoid things like this because they come, the flash frozen. But it's so fresh, I wouldn't even want to use those words about it. And I'm one of those guys that used to be like, weird about the microwave and like, ruining food. That's just not possible with this food. It's no matter what,
Wow.
It's 3 minutes perfect. It's not dry meat, anything like that.
No processed foods here, folks.
Nope.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you to our sponsors.
Yes, thank you guys so much. So some other stuff. We had SmackDown Saturday last night in our universe mode, and we've talked with, speaking of Bray and Brett, we've talked with them. We've officially entered the WWE 2K universe into the Tag Out part of our content and everything like that. So you guys will start seeing more information, more stuff with the channel. If you guys are like into that stuff and you tune into our shows, we're going to start making little clips like how we did today on Instagram, the match cards. Because Jeremy, what do we got coming up next for? That's right, the King of the Ring.
Personally, it's one of my favorite tournaments ever.
Yes.
But I like it in the old school sense.
Mm-hmm.
They revigorated it a couple of times throughout the past several years, but it didn't have that same effect. I'm talking about the 90s, 95, 96, 98. But we got a hot card.
I know. We got a good one.
We got 2 nights, so I think you're starting it off. We're kicking it off.
Tomorrow night, Eastern time, 10:30 on here, back on Twitch. We will be doing King of the Ring. So my biggest issue, so why we were doing this, just a little explanation for you guys. I don't like it when they did the King of the Ring like on Monday Night Raw or like on SmackDown or like it was a part of the show, like a little segment. To me, it devalued the King of the Ring. You know,
the Ring was probably one of the most grueling tournaments at the time.
And it's supposed to showcase new talent, and a lot of the times over the last decade, it didn't. It was just, you know, look at, King Corbin, he is great new talent, but did he do the King of the Ring justice? Not in my opinion, no.
No. It didn't elevate the tournament. The tournament was, like, if you weren't the Royal Rumble winner, you certainly might be the King of the Ring winner. You know, it's kind of like the Money in the Bank, what we have now. You know, and if you're elevated to King of the Ring, you might be Intercontinental Champion later, future World Champion.
Probably.
Look at it, Bret Hart. You know,
Triple H.
Triple H.
Stone Cold.
Hart, Stone Cold. I mean, it catapulted their careers. So the King of the Ring tournament is important, and we will bring back that importance starting.
Yes, we will. That's the whole focus that we want here. Yes, but like Jeremy said, over 2 nights, we're gonna do pay-per-view style, 7 matches, straight up action. No BS, nothing like that. Excuse me, sorry. Heartburn. If you guys have a Pepsid, I'm just kidding. Anyway.
A virtual Pepsid.
Yeah.
But get your brackets ready, guys. This is prime time. Anything can happen.
And we got a whole king. I'm excited for the you guys. I can't wait to show you the freaking venue too. It's got its own King of the Ring venue. Oh man, it's gonna be so much fun. So let's.
If you're not there, you're square, man.
Exactly. Let's read off the card. What do we got for the matchups?
Oh, I don't have that in front of me.
Oh, I've no worries. I've got it. Here we've got, and if you guys head over to Instagram, the Tag Out Instagram right now, you can vote on who you guys want to have, or not. Well, I have maybe Hope, one of your favorites, might win their match and move on and progress through the tournament. But we've got Drew Gulak versus Kyle O'Reilly. It's going to be interesting.
Now that's technical wrestling right there. That will be a hard-hitting opening round.
Good striking, sure. Hard-hitting, technical ring action. And then we'll be playing not at night 1, but on one of the episodes we did previous, if you guys caught, I have to upload it to YouTube. It was Johnny Gargano versus Heath Slater. And we did that as one of our pre-things about a couple weeks ago. And Slater was injured in the matchup, therefore Johnny won by default. So he'll be moving on to night 2, waiting one of the opponents. Yes, wow. So Johnny will be going to night 2. He's waiting on an opponent right now. So, and then next on night 2 or night 1 tomorrow, next we'll have Mustafa Ali and Seth Rollins.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Friends.
Yeah.
This card is hot. It's a hot card. And probably the most competitive card probably you'll ever do, AJ.
Probably. I put a lot of thought into this one. We've got, after that, Rusev versus Jinder Mahal.
Now that's going to be hard. That's like 2 Mack trucks going head-on collision. So that's going to be a good one. Jinder and Rusev. Now that's a dream match in itself that we never really got, I don't think.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Jeremy.
Right.
Then we're going to do Lars Sullivan versus Cesaro.
Now that's going to be something. Now that's 2 big guys right there.
Yeah.
I love Cesaro.
Cesaro's 6'5". Jesus Christ, did you know that?
Oh, yeah.
He's a big fucker. When I saw him at WrestleMania 37, I was like, that is a big motherfucker.
Oh, yeah, he is. He is huge.
Yeah.
And he's chiseled, too, so that makes him even more dangerous.
And Sullivan's just as big. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting matchup.
It's a match of power, to be honest. So who will outpower the other?
And then after that, we'll have Killian Dane versus Andrade.
Ooh. Now, you can't underestimate Killian Dane.
No, maybe King Killian?
Killian on his own is pretty dangerous, so that'll be an interesting bout right there. What a card coming up.
Right after that, we'll have Tony Nese versus Otis Dijakovic.
Otis?
Yes, Otis.
Oh.
We're giving Otis a shot in the King of the Ring.
I mean, he was a former Money in the Bank winner.
We'll see.
So we'll see.
To catch up, you guys, on the storylines right now, Otis's tag partner is the current number one contender. Tucker is the number one contender for Baron Corbin's NXT Championship.
That is an interesting dynamic.
I did not see that one coming. See that one coming. But yeah, Tucker versus Corbin is slated for the next takeover. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting booking. That is very interesting.
And then after Nese versus Otis, we're going to end the night one with a huge main event, Walter versus Strowman.
Now, that's a match that I would want to see in real life.
Me too.
To be completely honest, that is great.
Oof.
Because if once Strowman can go, he can go. So
they might break the goddamn ring. I have to prepare myself for that.
That's true.
Walter and Strowman.
Very true. Talk about Godzilla King Kong, guys.
I know.
You got Walter and Braun Strowman.
Oof.
A Mack truck versus a 747, guys.
So
coming to you live.
All of these guys, one of them out of each of these matches, single elimination, will move on to night 2. And I'm interested to see what happens with night 2. You know, like what if you got O'Reilly versus Rollins for night 2? You know, you never know. Maybe you got Killian versus Walter. Who knows?
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Oof.
We've seen stranger things in this business.
Yes, we have. And
it's gonna be hot.
I'm excited. Who do you want for the main event? I gotta know, Walter or Strowman.
That's a tough one, but I always go for the young gun. I go for Walter.
Walter
is. You don't want to go to deep waters with him.
No.
Prove that with Ciampa at a Takeover Stand and Deliver. The farther that Ciampa was taking him, the more he could swim. To be honest, so you want to try to chop him down as quick as you can. Because he may be a big dude, but he can really go the distance.
He can.
So. But yeah.
With Walter, to keep you guys up on the storylines, and on Monday Nitro, Walter's feuding right now with Bam Bam. Bam Bam Bigelow versus Walter is a feud happening right now. Yep.
Oh my God.
Bam Bam and Walter are at each other's throats. It started in a tag team match. It was Walter and I can't remember who he was teaming with. Walter and Batista versus Big Show and Bam Bam.
It is like how do I put it? It's like the monster universe coming together.
Yeah, that's Nitro.
Battle Royale, or it's crazy. Guys, this is what goes to this man's head.
Yes.
These bookings, these dream bookings. So if you want to see some dream matches come to life,
come back tomorrow night.
Tomorrow is the day. We will be here. Well, AJ will be here. I'll try to be here as best as I can.
And Jeremy will be giving his review in night 1 after. Yeah.
Yep. That will be the following day.
Mm-hmm.
That will be the following day. I'll go over the matches and then we'll get started for our night 2 next week. A big 2-night event you don't want to miss.
No. Well, speaking of not wanting to miss, we're here, guys. We're here tonight to talk about the AEW, I guess, this birthday celebration. AEW now over, 2 years now?
It is 2 years.
2 years.
Up, in a few weeks, the third Double or Nothing coming our way on pay-per-view, the next big pay-per-view extravaganza at AEW. Before we get started, though, two breaking news. Kenny Omega is the Impact and AEW World Champion.
Wow, look at that.
So very self-indulgent for Tony Khan, to be honest. I mean,
Will that make a unification of the championships?
it's not a
Maybe.
unification. It's actually two different titles.
Wow, that's crazy.
So he'll be doing, as far as they're telling, they'll be doing, Kenny will be pulling double duty.
Wow.
But the thing is, Impact is taped. So they do like 3 or 4 episodes in a week. So it's not like his work schedule is going to be
not too crazy. Yeah.
that crazy. He will be on every Dynamite every week live on TNT. And Big Cass.
I saw. Yeah.
Morrissey is now part of Impact Wrestling. So big stuff. I still don't really care too much about Impact Wrestling. Even
yeah, it's all right. I'll catch it here and there every once in a while.
Yeah, even though Kenny Omega is the champion.
Yeah.
But still, that's the breaking news.
That's awesome.
Breaking news. I meant to say that before we got started.
No, yeah.
AEW in year 2.
Year 2.
Given a pandemic, thriving still to this very day.
And yeah, we'll start talking about that, man, right away, because I think every AEW fan's stomach was in their ass when the pandemic happened, because AEW when they first started they were on fire and they were killing it. The shows were nuts. The live shows were crazy. I haven't seen fans like this since maybe the good days of WCW. I'm talking like 96, 97,
Yeah.
Freaking, that was what I could compare the crowds to. And when the world shut down, my instant thought was, you know what, Vince and the other fellows, they're going to be all right. They've got billions in the bank to play with. But I was really nervous for AEW. I really was.
Yeah, you just didn't know. Your revenue comes from the live audience.
Yeah, because they don't have the resource of WWE.
They don't.
Yeah,
they don't. They are very limited in. I don't want to say they're too limited. Tony's dad has a lot of money. He's the owner of Jacksonville Jaguars, and they make pretty good money. The Khans are very, very rich. So it's kind of like it wasn't too much of a financial burden, but I was a little afraid if they didn't have that live event revenue versus, having TV, what was going to happen to them.
And they had just
lay people off.
Right. I was nervous for that too. And they had just started up the merch store. It was barely going, so it's not like they could have, merch sales to fly back on. So
yeah, it was kind of complicated. It was kind of like, what are we going to do in this situation? But they made, they made, I'll give a quote: "When life gives you lemons, you make fruit punch."
Yeah.
And, they made fruit punch and a whole lot more. They fed, they had Dark, AEW Dark, which fed a lot of those independent wrestlers, which I'm very, very happy that they did. I was afraid that they were going to lay off so many of their stars so fast, but they didn't. They kept everyone on payroll. Only a couple got cut, but that's because they couldn't make the dates and whatnot. I think
the women's division took a little bit of a hit, and that's a few injuries, a couple people not being able to make it back to the States.
A lot of the Japanese, because they had a lot of Japanese female Joshi Pro Wrestling women's wrestlers.
Yeah.
So they couldn't, travel restrictions. You can't make it across the country. I mean, nowadays you can, but during those early days, it's like you can't go stateside. You couldn't go anywhere.
No.
You couldn't even go state to state, city to city, it seemed like.
So they had to go over to the Nightmare Factory to put on the show. Yep,
to keep the lights on at least, to keep
something going, because everyone else decided professional wrestling was essential service. I think Tony was probably had his hands, in his head for a few days, like, oh man, they're probably going to shut us down. What's going on? So I feel like when they got the news, they were like, oh, we got to do something, just like you said, to keep the lights on.
Oh yeah, same with WWE. It's kind of like, all right, get all the trucks, turn around, doing it from the studio from here on out until we figure out what we're going to do going forward. But that's just the testament to professional wrestling, period. When the NBA, the NHL, MLB were like, we don't know if we're going to have a season this year. Pro wrestling's like, yeah, we're going to have something for these people.
English,
We're not going to leave them in the dark.
English football did not have football for like the first time in probably ever.
Century,
yeah, probably the whole time. That. So sorry to our UK brethren and the few soccer fans that are here in the States.
Well, yeah, I mean the controversy with that one too.
That's another
subject for another day.
That's another episode.
But giving the testament to Tony Khan and his business strategy and keeping the company alive. I mean, let's go back. Let's go back to the origins just for a bit of how this company came to be.
Yes.
Let's go to All In. Let's go to, in fact, let's rewind the clock a little more. Let's go back to January 4th, 2018. And the reason I go back to that, I go back to Jericho versus Omega.
Yes.
Alpha versus Omega in the Tokyo Dome.
Which,
Jericho,
an instant classic, 5 stars, over the moon,
brutal,
unspeakable. It's
beautiful.
Amazing.
It's something that, you can talk about for years and it'll never get old. I actually watched that match a couple days ago.
Oh, yeah?
So it was pretty, I've dusted off my NJPW world there. But when you look at that match, it opened up the possibilities of what pro wrestling could be on a national scale in North America. Chris Jericho, a WWE superstar at the time, well, I don't think he really was because he was out of contract at the time, goes against Kenny Omega. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, they have a classic, and it opened Jericho's eyes to like, man, this could be something else. But he still respected Vince enough to say, I'm not gonna go, wrestle for anybody else in North America. But then you see this seed turn into this tree over time. Cody and the Young Bucks are putting in. Dave Meltzer puts out a tweet saying that the Bucks and Cody and all of them can't sell out a 10,000 seat arena.
Mm-hmm.
They did it in minutes.
They compared the work they were doing in Japan to something of a low budget indie circuit, and that's just not the fucking case, because
it wasn't.
Cody alone, and we'll have to do an episode on Cody. I know we keep pushing that one, but Cody alone, just to mention him, took the opportunity that he had in WWE, used the legacy, for his benefit. When it came down to creative, he decided on one thing and to another. When he was released, he went to an opportunity to take his, name to superstardom and allowed him to become what he was always destined to be, but was never given the opportunity for. And that turned a lot of heads, because then it also connected former guys and also the indie circuit from the Bucks and guys from Ring of Honor, and it made a direct connection to what was happening over there in Japan.
And that was, and it's exciting. It was exciting to see that. And Cody to completely go backwards in his career, because when he left, it wasn't like he went to another promotion right away. He went to like you said, he went to the independents, he went to the bingo halls, he wrestled. The majority of who's employed with AEW today, he wrestled. He did it completely backwards and reestablished, well, I don't want to say reestablished, but established his name in a different light. This is who I really am. But
he made himself a star because he realized that he had to in a way step it up. He had to reinvent himself, to change something about him. He got physically stronger. That changed the whole thing. You could see a difference on his face when he was wrestling again. You could see that he was even enjoying it.
He was enjoying it. He was you can see the passion built. He had new theme music. Well, he couldn't use the old theme music.
Couldn't even use his goddamn last name.
Hello. Up until recently. It's crazy. We'll bring that up later. Probably in the Cody episode, definitely we'll bring up how he got back his last name. But he goes through that journey, and then I think fate just has it. 2018, I always bring up 2018 as that year that changed
It
the
did.
world.
And I was on deployment. That was one of my last deployments. And I come home, I see like little glimpses, like what's something like, Cody and Chris doing something. There's like stuff on Instagram. Things are starting to pick up. I'm like, something's like going on here. And then you see like the colors, like the logo, the white gold colors start to come around. I was like, something's happening here. There's something's going on.
Yeah, eventually, I didn't know what to make of it. To be honest, but I thought, these guys are changing the business. As far as independent wrestlers go, you look at the Young Bucks. Off of merchandise alone, they had Hot Topic. They had clothes in Hot Topic. T-shirts selling like hotcakes at Hot Topic.
Yes.
These are indie stars. These are not WWE, TNA contracted guys. These are guys who are totally just running the show by themselves.
Yep.
And that really steamrolled. It steamrolled going back to the Meltzer. I don't like Dave Meltzer. I think he's black. I just think he's ruining the bit. To be honest, Dave Meltzer, I hate him. I really do. I think he's an awful person and a terrible journalist. But
Jeremy shoots on Meltzer.
I can't stand that. But anyway, he says, the Bucks and Cody, and these guys can't sell out a 10,000 seat arena. Okay, watch what happens. They take that chance. So they go out, they rent out the Sears Center, and what happens? And I think about under a half hour, was, or something around that time frame, that whole place sells out.
Instantly.
Ticketmaster was crashing. Nobody could get a ticket. And I said All In, and that was what the event was called. All In changed the world. It certainly opened up the eyes because they ran it, they promoted it, they catered it, they built the talent, the card, the format, everything. And that's what built the seeds to say, oh, wow, maybe. And I thought it might have been like a 5-year plan that we could have another wrestling promotion in the United States.
Again, finally.
Forward to January 1st, 2019, when the Elite announces that All Elite Wrestling is a thing.
Yeah.
So talk about that 4 months after probably the biggest independent show of all time on pay-per-view.
Which will never be topped again, ever.
Never, ever. Now we have a wrestling company. And it's going against Vince McMahon's WWE.
And what a freaking, I want to say some kind of stab or something to Vince, that it's most of the guys that you might have turned your back on or let go started a rival company. Someone that you held things over. I'm talking about Cody, is now starting a rival company against you. Chris Jericho, who you've done good things and bad things and back and forth for, and then finally just said goodbye. It's crazy.
Jericho turned. I'm on the belief of this, that Jericho turned the whole thing around.
Oh,
in a sense,
he did.
It's good to have Cody and the Bucks and Hangman Adam Page and all those guys, but when you bring in a star, a superstar, a legend like Chris Jericho,
someone who has done it all, from WCW to the Attitude Era to the Ruthless Aggression to the PG to he's to everyone, to AEW.
Yeah, you knew that
Japan.
It was some serious business.
Yeah.
You acquired Jericho. Wow. No star, in my opinion. I mean, Kurt Angle going to TNA was pretty big, but it's a bomb. It kind of, I kind of reference it to Hogan in '93 when he went to WCW. When he signed with that's a seismic shift in the business.
It is.
This was a seismic shift in the business.
It was a huge earthquake. It was a movement.
Oh, man.
And I remember seeing that on social media. I was like, "Are you kidding? No way."
Me too. Because he promised that he would never wrestle in North America if it weren't, if it isn't for Vince McMahon. But, in many of his interviews that he said, I just felt like this was different, and I may not get, another opportunity.
He took a gamble.
He did. But it was the right gamble. Jericho's really smart. Let's face it, he is really smart. He's not stupid. He knows what he's doing. So that changed it.
And so that with Chris, I always say this about Chris when he used to say, save us Y2J, that he would save wrestling. It finally happened. Now it's saved us. He saved us. Y2J finally saved us. That's everything that he was saying back in the day. It happened.
And he's still good at it.
Mm-hmm.
He's great at it, and he's still relevant. There is no irrelevancy with Chris Jericho, period.
No.
Let's just say that. But, it fast forwards to Double or Nothing, May 25th, 2019. Now we finally get to see...
At the MGM Grand Garden Arena.
In Las Vegas.
They got that venue.
Uh-huh.
They got that venue. That's awesome.
Yeah. If anybody doesn't know, the MGM Grand is kind of like the fight. Vegas is the entertainment capital of the world, the fight capital of the world, but the MGM Grand is very, very legendary for boxing.
Lots of boxing matches.
MMA, some of the most famous fights have happened here. But WCW was here a lot, too. Vegas is a very tough city to sell when it comes down to professional
especially with professional wrestling, man. Oh, my.
It's so hard to sell.
No offense to the Thomas and Mack Center, but it's not the MGM Grand. And the Thomas and Mack Center is on-campus, off-campus University of Nevada, Las Vegas's venue. And it's nice. It does what it is. It's kind of an arena, but it's not the MGM Grand. And
it's on the Strip.
Yeah.
It's on the Strip, the MGM Grand. So
and for most of pro wrestling stuff, Monday Night Raw, I believe I also watched No Way Out, what happened at the Thomas and Mack Center, because really that was the best that they could get, in my opinion. That's for me being a Vegas guy, and you as well.
Yeah. Vince probably wasn't all that enthused with Vegas as a city, anyway, I mean, the MGM Grand on the Strip is, it's convenient. It's good for tourists too, because whoever stays on the Strip, you can easily walk there. If your hotel's on the Strip. But they sold it out in 4 minutes.
Oh yeah.
AEW. This is a upstart. Now they're an upstart wrestling.
People didn't even know what they were buying essentially yet. They were like, you know what? But we're gonna buy it.
So the tickets went on sale in February of 2019. I can remember because there was I wanted to go to the AEW ticket party, which was at the poolside area at the MGM Grand. You don't know the card of
Nope.
Double or Nothing. There is no card. They're just now announcing stars. So now, weeks later, still without a card, they sell out the MGM Grand. It's kind of like, what is this?
Exactly. It's like a big old mystery.
So so it happens, and I'm shocked because I'm like, okay, yeah, you did it with All In, okay, but now you're on a bigger stage. Now you're on a much bigger stage.
A huge stage. Now you got the world watching.
Yeah, right. And now you're going on, not only you're going on pay-per-view, but soon they haven't reached the television deal yet. So,
yeah, we didn't even know they even had a we didn't know they even had a show.
So you're building a company with no TV. Okay, no TV, no nothing. You don't even know who your buyer for TV is going to be quite yet. I think they were in talks with TNT, but nothing was solidified. Okay, that was the beauty of it all. The 4 minutes with no TV. You're promoting later on. You're promoting your matches by YouTube. Okay, but that's YouTube. That's not even TV.
No,
that's on TNT yet. What the heck? So, I mean, that's what shocked me the most. You have nothing.
You've just got YouTube. Yeah.
So, Cody and Dustin, I think a couple weeks later, but that was that event. I know we're kind of hopping here, guys, but the origin story is just so cool to this company.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's going to take us along this. But you have Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, duking it out again. Who doesn't want to see them again? Wrestle. So that becomes the main event for Double or Nothing. Is Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega 2.
Which was always going to be a huge draw, regardless.
Oh yeah, I mean the allure of Kenny Omega, and you know what? Honestly, Kenny Omega didn't even know if he was going to sign with AEW.
No,
because he was still in talks with WWE at the time. So he was like, "Do I take a gamble or do I go to good money?"
Right, go to a safety net, essentially. Yeah,
exactly. But I'm kind of glad that he did. He put ink to pen to paper that morning in Las Vegas at the ticket party, and there you go.
There it was. And all these signings, like picking out of the crowd, things like this, it made a huge sports feel to AEW. It gave a different version of what we're used to. It gave that nice wrestling feel that we haven't never had. That's the one thing that I always want to point out about the past is that. And Vince said it himself. He said, "I am not a wrestling company, I'm an entertainment company." He said that. He is quoted saying that Ted Turner, everybody else, WCW, they're World Championship Wrestling. It ends in wrestling. There's a reason, because it's motherfucking wrestling.
It is indeed wrestling. It is, you're seeing it back to the light that it was, 20 years prior.
Mm-hmm.
It became important again. Wrestling it wasn't song and dance like we see in the WWE. It was like, it's a really sports-centric television show. It's going to be very, very sports-centric. You're going to have ratings. That's going to determine your number one contenders.
Yes, the ratings. I loved that. That was awesome.
So you're really looking at it in a whole different direction in the company. So they build Double or Nothing 1, with YouTube vignettes. Who would have known that Cody versus Dustin Rhodes would be that one YouTube video would make it one of the most important matches of the night on Double or Nothing?
Who would have known?
Because they tried it in WWE, Stardust versus Goldust.
Oh God, that was a train wreck. It was
my God.
Cody as Stardust in general was a train wreck. But real quick, shout out to Eric47. He's the VIP fan over at Enter the Gamer Actuals, my other podcast. He's the VIP fan over there. Thanks for joining us over here, man. He's a big wrestling fan too.
Well, welcome. It's good to have new listeners to our
yes, sir.
To our place. But yeah, Cody and Dustin Rhodes was a YouTube series. They were putting it all on YouTube. The Road to Double or Nothing, all that to promote it. And I think they did a good job getting to Double or Nothing.
Oh, they did, for sure.
So, I want to hit up the show, Double or Nothing 1. What a pay-per-view that was, to be honest. I liked it. And
one of the most entertaining pay-per-views in a long time, because at that time WWE had just come off a very, very good year of 2017, and then slowly started to kind of just slip off the map. Things started to get a little stale. Stories started to get a little weird. They started to get a little repetitive. And then, of course, you had the stranglehold on both the championships. You never fucking saw it. People kind of were turning their shoulder a little bit to what was going on Monday and Friday.
I think people really wanted an alternative, and AEW presented it. And with Tony Khan being the creative genius that he is, to be honest, he made that possible. For us to have that good alternative.
He did. And NXT wasn't live then either. It was on the network, and still a very niche fan base was happening at the time as well. It started to get a little popularity bringing up, but still not live, not regularly available to the cable networks people.
Right. It's just people were tired of seeing the same old song and dance.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, and they're not a lot of people who talk about NXT, they don't talk about it in a bad way. You know, they just want to see something that's mainstream, that's cool, that's something different than what they see. Like you said, something that's different on a Monday or Friday, or at that time of Monday and Tuesday. You know, it was time for them to shake it up again. You know, have some good competition, or you know, have something different. New faces.
Yes.
Because you get kind of tired of seeing the same faces all the time. You know, at one point you got real tired of seeing Roman Reigns. At one point you were tired of not seeing Brock Lesnar.
Right. You're like, where the fuck is the WWE Championship?
Right. Yeah, and it's not even here. It's not being represented.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's good for what it is. But something that, you know, brought more attention was Moxley.
Yeah.
I mean, Moxley kind of just put the cherry on top of the cake right there. Pow.
Because we all knew what was going on behind the scenes, and then WWE, it was very obvious. They played it out on television that, you know, the final fist bumps and whatnot. John was leaving. We all knew it. But
and
yeah.
You're not happy. You're not happy. You guys can listen to the John Moxley stories, you know, of his final days that pushed him to leave.
They did.
You know?
How many times did they try to reunite the fucking Shield and then didn't happen?
It fell flat on his face quite a bit because there were circumstances that were happening.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of like Dean Ambrose, which was his former name, you know, he was a champion. He had probably from 2014 to 2016, he had probably the best singles run that he had. All
great singles run. Yeah.
They had amazing singles runs. But I'm guessing, you know, after he got injured, they just forgot about him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a shame because he is a great main eventer, a great wrestler. And it's kind of a darn shame that they did that to him. But, you know, and he didn't even know that AEW was happening.
No, yeah, he had no clue. He was on his getting ready to go back to Vegas and hang out with Renee.
Well, he was. He was even going to go back to Indies, you know, just you know, screw around and just wrestle, you know. But Jericho reached out and said, "Hey, come here. Come here.
Come do something significant.
Exactly.
Come do what we already know that you're so capable of doing, and do it in an elevation where it's so fresh and so new that immediately, if fans are not already in love with you, they're going to fall in love with you." I imagine that's the conversation that they had.
I'm pretty sure that they knew from a mile away, even Tony Khan knew that if I got John Moxley, I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, so him coming down the steps of the MGM Grand like Razor Ramon did back in, you know, when he debuted on Nitro, and just him doing this, you know, smelling the fresh air, it really showed that, hey, this is some big stuff, Vince. This is a rebuke on you more than anything. You know, this is you. I think it's Vince's doing, to be honest.
It is.
I think if he were to be a little more creative and listen a little better to what his fan base is telling him,
and his own goddamn talent too.
Exactly.
Shout out real quick, Nasty Time 215, Nasty Leroy. He says, "Sup AJ and Jeremy." Nasty Leroy is a member of the Nightmare Factory, the Nightmare family.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and he's made an appearance on on TNT before, and him and I met on Instagram Live. We did a podcast with him. Uh-huh. It's only fitting that he's here tonight to talk about AEW, talk about his fellow colleagues and his friends and whatnot.
Is he signed to not signed to a contract yet?
I don't, right? not yet, Nasty. I'm not sure if you're allowed to say, you know, but.
Hey, you know, if you got to keep it, I know legalities, you can keep it a secret. But
yeah.
If you're not, we really are praying that you get there.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it'll be a great company to work for. So, we get there, and John Moxley just becomes, to me, he's become him.
Yeah.
Uniquely him, and that's great. Especially like this past week on Dynamite. I don't know if you watched Dynamite this week, but him and Eddie Kingston, it's like
they're killer.
It's gold.
It's so good. It's so damn good. Eddie is so good too. We'll talk about him and Moxley. So Nasty says he's a free agent currently right now. So he's on the market.
Someone go and sign this man.
Yes, sign Nasty Leroy.
Pristine new mic.
But what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. What was I saying just before that?
We were talking about
Kingston. Yeah, we'll talk about Kingston and Moxley later, because Kingston is so damn good. He's so good in the promos. That promo that he cut earlier this summer about him, like, of course I had to look in. You think I can't look in the mirror anymore? He's like, I had to become a liar and a cheat. I was like, wow, this is some heartfelt shit.
You can't get that in WWE.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they'll script him as. They'll make him Brooklyn Brawler Jr.
Right.
If he ever went to WWE. But, I mean, Eddie became himself. Eddie Kingston was on, I think, Dark episodes at one point. But they were like, you know what? He shouldn't be that way. He needs to be on another level. And look at what happened. The 2020 era of the pandemic, he becomes a main eventer.
He becomes the Mad King.
Moxley.
Yes.
And the Mad King. And I'm a huge Eddie Kingston fan. I think they're hitting up Young Bucks versus Eddie Kingston and John Moxley at Double or Nothing. I think that's what they're coming up to, which I think is going to be awesome, because you're going to probably get a great rivalry out of that. Probably one of the best tag team rivalries in quite some
It's going to be a treat.
Amazing.
Yes.
But that just goes to show, what the power of AEW can do. And just letting the wrestlers be free is something that we need to, do.
Because we haven't seen something like that before.
Right. You can't keep them chained up. And I think that's a big problem with, WWE, is that it's too much TV. It's a wrestling program. For God's sake. That's what the stories are. Let the wrestlers tell the story. That's what made the allure of professional wrestling so special. So, when we go in, Chris Jericho becomes the first AEW World Champion at the first All Out, back at the Sears Center. And
who else? Right. Who else but Jericho could do it? Who else but?
Well,
it is.
It's a business choice for Chris Jericho, because you have to. You're a new TV show.
Mm-hmm.
You need some allure to get that.
You need the familiarity of the ringing of Chris Jericho. Yes.
Yeah.
Nasty Leroy says, real quick. He says Nasty Leroy. He says Eddie Kingston's already been the Mad King. He's seen the main event, The Last of a Dying Breed. That Eddie Kingston, he says, one of his goals is to wrestle and fight him inside the AEW ring. Yes, sir, Nasty Leroy. But yeah, Le Champion, wow. Who knew? Just when you thought that Chris Jericho was out of ideas, out of characters, out of whatnot, he just takes himself and accentuates it. And you thought he already had done that in the past. Now he just did something completely brand new with this Le Champion, and his personality became, the best part of his character.
Yeah, Le Champion, probably one of his best, and it's still in its same iteration. He's a reservoir of creative. When you think, and he's done it throughout his entire career, especially in the last 10 to 15 years. Since 2007, he always found a way to turn that knob, to make him relevant.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Right, a little bit of the bubbly. Who knew that it became a shirt? It became
a viral clip.
A meme galore. You see memes of a little bit of bubbly everywhere.
Yes.
So, I mean, he's not stupid. And, Vince, you let a good one go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, quite honestly, this guy is doing his thing, but I love Chris. I think he's an incredible,
he's great.
Incredible not a hand, but incredible knowledge. Has a wealth of knowledge to give to those up and coming, stars. I told you this in the first episode. Chris Jericho wouldn't feel comfortable, if he didn't leave the wrestling business better than when he found it.
Exactly.
So, it goes to him, and he had a great run, Le Champion, and had some great rivalries, and really wrestled guys like Darby Allin, who barely had any TV time at the time. Jungle Boy, that 10 minutes in Corpus Christi with Jungle Boy, I'll always remember that. He always did the right thing.
He did.
So, and in that 6 months that he was champion was the best 6 months and the most relevant 6 months of a championship run.
And
Giving it to Moxley,
it felt so much longer too, because it was just so real. It was just so,
He was what a real champion should be.
Yes. And it was all the bullshit was behind him. It didn't matter that he wasn't, 6'4". It didn't matter that he didn't look like Brock Lesnar, because now you just let him be a champion because he is one.
Exactly. And and it was good when he pushed it off to Moxley.
Mm-hmm. Which that freaking match between Jericho and Moxley, first of all, that pay-per-view alone was killer.
One of the best pay-per-views in a very long time. It's still
very long time. One of the most entertaining things I've seen in so long.
Yeah.
But the build-up, and also you got the Inner Circle Choir. I love that segment. They came out and sang Jericho out to the ring.
It was a big fight feel.
Yeah.
You didn't feel that in wrestling for many years. You felt that the main event was very important, that this was going to be a true championship fight.
The production value on that main event, that's how you put on a main event right there.
It was simple. The show was very simple. And guys, we're talking about Revolution 2020.
Yep.
Probably one of the last pay-per-views that was with a sold-out audience.
And I'd have to say probably, I think that for me was the last really entertaining pay-per-view before the world went to shit. That was for me.
The world shut down.
Yeah, that was for me, an almost like a pre-WrestleMania. That was like if WrestleMania was going to have like a next door neighbor, that for me that was Revolution 2020.
It was a very good card.
The Bucks match, the Young Bucks match. Hello.
Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page.
One of the best displays of professional tag team wrestling I've ever seen.
If you don't believe in tag team wrestling and how good it can be and how it can almost eclipse the world title main event, which it kind of almost did.
It made tag team wrestling and the tag team championships relevant.
And that's how it should be. Every championship should feel important. It shouldn't be something like, oh, who do we give it to now?
Right.
You know,
it's not a prop, for fuck's sake.
A prop. It's a trophy.
Yes.
You know, if the Daytona 500 was just given out to random people, it wouldn't be as entertaining to watch.
No. You need Casey Kane to win that fucking thing. Yes.
Exactly. Stop treating it like it's like a toy. It may be a toy, but to kids, but it's important to the guy or the gal that holds it.
It is.
So, I mean, that's a good point you brought up, because every title is very important in that company, and I love it. But yeah, Revolution 2020 was great. Jon Moxley becoming the AEW World Champion for a long time.
A successful, long run.
And I think it's much more relevant than his first WWE champ. In fact, his WWE Championship run, it totally eclipsed
it. It did.
He's wrestling, fighting hard, taking on all comers. He was undefeated since him coming to AEW.
He showed what it was like to be a modern world champion, someone that's in this realm of wrestling, someone, you know, to be remembered as one of the first, you know, strong champions of this decade, to be remembered as a bar, to put in the textbooks in wrestling schools. If you want to know what it's like to be a world champion, make sure you figure out Jon Moxley as AEW world champion.
He's a fantastic world champion. I think he was one of the most relevant world champions in a long time.
And Brody, the matchup between him and Brody Lee for the world title, and we'll talk, you know, Brody Lee, may he rest in peace. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But him and Brody Lee, wow.
Yep.
I wanted to see more of that. I was hoping we'd get like a few more matches of that. That's how, and I tweeted right after that. I was like, that's how you put on a world championship match right now. You get two guys who just go toe to toe and beat the living fuck out of each other until someone else passes out. That's wrestling.
It is, and it was a great decision for Brody to cut ties with WWE.
It was.
You know, move on to, you know, go to AEW as the Exalted One of the Dark Order.
I loved the Mr. Brody Lee stuff. Yes. The making fun of Vince, you know, it finally, you forgot that was Luke Harper. I didn't even remember him as that after that, because he was just so good as Brody Lee.
It's the relevance. It's give the wrestlers the outlook to be the avenues to be creative.
And look what happens. Look what happens.
And the magic happened. Brody Lee became Brody Lee. He's not really. I mean, if you hadn't watched wrestling in a long time, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, AEW. Of course, you would know him as Luke Harper of the Wyatt family, but Brody, God rest his soul, and it's so sad that he passed.
We'll talk about that, yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think in our very first episode, we talked a lot about Brody.
Yeah.
His death is much like Eddie. But anyway, him getting to that point and getting to be a main event player spoke a lot of volumes.
It did.
It spoke a lot about who this man is, and if I were Vince, I would have been like,
you had two of WWE's successful mid-card guys, successful tag wrestlers. You know, freaking Brody never got to the top, never got to the mountaintop.
And I never understood that, because
me
he
neither.
had a very relevant Intercontinental title run.
He did.
He was performing really well in 2013, 2014, 2015. He was doing the work. I don't get what Vince's criteria is for wrestlers, and I don't think I want to know, because it makes me even more upset.
But now you got them operating on a main event level. You got them operating as legitimate stars and killing it and making it entertaining. It makes your edge of your seat on the videos. You had Jon Moxley doing insane things in the ring, the walking through the crowd, the empty crowd, even, you know, the relevance between all of it. Nasty Leroy just says, my guy Brody played naughty pranks and jokes in the back at AEW. That's good to hear about Brody, man. A positive memory for him.
I bet he was a goofball to be around.
Well, you see BTE. You saw being the elite, all the goofy stuff he would say and do on there.
Yeah.
Man.
There was a time on BTE where he just totally, I think in character, flipped out.
Yeah.
It was one of the best things I've ever seen.
Man, the world lost a good one real soon, man.
And he was just getting there.
He was, but
I mean, eventually he became TNT champion, had a wonderful TNT title.
Yeah, that was amazing.
In the summer, and you know, he really came into his own. He had a great dog collar match with Cody.
That was really good, yeah.
And I think wasn't that his last match?
Because
last televised Nasty.
I think it might have been, yeah, because and I think something just didn't sit right. It didn't make a whole lot of sense when you had just lost the television championship and then you know gave it right back. Something didn't make sense.
He was ill. From from what I gathered, he was ill, but it was red flags were raised for
Yeah.
me when he wasn't on the full gear card.
Me too. I was like, what's going on with Brody? And of course, and right to my thought, I was like, he tore something in the match. He hurt himself.
Yeah.
He,
I thought he was injured too, but it was worse than that.
far worse. Something that I was like,
sick and dying.
What?
Brody Lee sick and dying. What?
And then he was there, and then he wasn't. The next, he was gone.
And then, after I think it was like December 28th or something, we get a notification. John Huber, Mr. Brody Lee, has died. I'm like, oh, come on. You think
You're kidding me?
Couldn't get any worse? You think 2020 couldn't get any worse? And Mr. Brody Lee is gone. I'm like, come on. This is some cool joke that someone's playing on us. But
couldn't believe it.
God rest his soul.
And I still,
really well.
When I saw AEW in real life last month, when I heard the Dark Order's music, man, I got the chills. I got just so bad I would want Brody to walk through that tunnel, and of course it never was going to happen, but I was still looking there, and I still felt it. He was there, especially the fact that Brody Jr. and the work that they're doing with him, it's so touching, and
Yep.
You could feel it. Brody was sitting out in that audience. He was, sitting with the guys on the side of the ring. He's there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great what Tony Khan is doing to support the Huber family, because right now, Amanda, his wife, is a single mother now.
Yeah.
And a widower. But it's good that they're taking care of -1, who will soon, I believe, be the exalted one.
Of course.
Eventually, that seat is warm for him.
Yes, it is.
Good and ready. But that little boy has a lot of spunk to him. That little boy is going to grow up with some good guys, some good father figures in his life.
A lot of good father figures, yeah.
And he has nothing to worry about. So God rest.
He's in good hands. Yeah.
He is. Oh my God. I'm not even worried about that little man. But I want to talk about Darby for a little bit.
Yeah, Darby Allin.
Do we have to take a break soon, or do we have time? Or
actually, yeah, I think we are at the break point. So when we come back, we'll talk about Darby Allin. I want to love to talk about Jurassic Express. I want to mention MJF.
And we will talk about the very great Dr. Britt Baker.
Oh my Lord! And we'll talk about that match, guys. So come back in about 10 minutes. Of course, we'll continue talking about more significant moments as well, and some stuff with Cody and Sean and everybody. But come back in 10 minutes at 1:10. We got a couple last comments. Cody's one of them, and Preston's like his big brother. He's told me Brody Lee Jr.'s like his little brother to be always. He always wants to be on it, and that's awesome to see the excitement of Brody Lee Jr. Also, he's Nasty Leroy. Check him out on Instagram, official Nasty Leroy. He says,
please do.
Check out his fight team, the Nasty Team Worldwide, and please listen to the interview that we have. There's a few people on this planet that have gotten me to break character, and Nasty Leroy was one of them, man. And it happened within minutes.
Hey, that's a good dude.
It is. But yeah, guys, we're heading off to break, and Jeremy's gonna will lead us in with Darby Allin when we come back.
All right.
right, let's turn the mics on.
Back.
We are back. All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, part 2. Thanks, guys, for listening, tuning in for AEW discussion number 2.
Oh, yeah. Now, the discussion may seem all over the place, but we're just hitting some of our favorite moments, of our favorite people. Probably next time we'll revisit this, maybe, and you guys can bring up who you want us to talk about.
Yeah.
And we'll do it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
I just want to keep a reminder, if you guys have any topics for us, you guys can just send them to us in the comments, or, do we have an email? I don't know. Just
I think we do getting the email, yeah, but please, yeah, all of our point of contacts right now are going through Instagram, as well as, yes, on here as well, you can send a whisper. But excuse me, sorry, but yeah, the Instagram, reach out to us if there's something. It could be anything. If you want us to do something about the steel cage, we'll do something about the steel cage. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone. But if you want us to do WrestleMania 17, or if you want us to do someone, if you want us to do, I don't know, Sting, anything that you guys want to do.
I know that in a couple weeks we got Blood and Guts coming up.
Yep.
So we could do the War Games match. We can watch a War Games match.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really have to be anything special. We may do that next time, but who knows. But I know we were going to discuss Darby Allin.
Yes.
Kind of one of my favorites. One of my favorites out of the entire roster.
What?
He has a connection with people, man. He has a connection.
A very unique individual and a very unique wrestler, and I don't agree a lot with everyone's criticism of him, because I just don't see it, especially after seeing him in real life. The man's good, and he's very entertaining, and he's very deserving of that championship.
Absolutely. His promos, his vignettes that he films himself, directs himself, writes himself. The guy is a filmmaker. He's a film student. So I knew that about him the moment I saw those little vignettes, because I said, if that can't be anybody in a production,
no,
it has to be him.
He learned to do that. Yep. Exactly. And he was on 1,000 Ways to Die.
Was he really?
He was.
I didn't know that.
He was on 1,000 Ways to Die. Yeah.
Was he one of the 1,000 Ways to Die? Because
yeah, I think it was skateboard related. Yeah.
Lord. My Lord.
But no, I like the whole skateboard gimmick, the demon skateboarder. And first of all, Darby Allin will just do anything to entertain, do anything to solidify the match in a more hardcore way. The man will put his body on the line. I have seen him do things like, oh, Jesus, will someone check on Darby? Is he all right? I can't imagine the man. He was thrown over the top rope in a body bag throw of tacks.
Yes.
Come on, and they chucked him. That wasn't a toss. That was a chuck.
That was a spear chuck.
He weighs about 100, soaking wet, barely 200 pounds.
Yeah, I don't think he's even at the 200 mark. I think he's like I think it was like 175. Yeah. I don't know, but he's way below the 200-pound mark. But the guy is so creative. He's so entertaining. He's much like Jeff Hardy.
Very synonymous to Jeff, yeah.
When Jeff first became a singles wrestler, I think that's where I harp back to a lot. And the guy is just on another level of his creativity, and he is a great representation of the TNT championship.
Yes.
He is a very good representation. He is fighting, I think, this week. So what's this week? This week is like the week of the 26th coming up, April 26th. It's 25th. We're recording today. Okay, so he's defended the TNT championship, I think, 5 straight weeks. Yeah, 5 straight weeks. He's really made what the television, because everyone forgets that is a television championship. He has made what a television championship is supposed to be.
what it was definitely meant to be beforehand. You know, it's meant to bring people to watch the damn television show. That's what it's supposed to be. That's the whole point. And it also, they add the mid-card element. They're bringing up the stars, and who else? He is just, so what? He doesn't look like, I always say this. I always have the big problem with WWE having issues with people's size. I hate that shit. So what? Because look what he's doing. You don't see Brock Lesnar diving off the top rope into the goddamn crowd.
Right. He's a unique champion. He's a defending champion. He'll do whatever it takes to make the title relevant. The TNT Championship is much like what the Intercontinental title used to be.
Yes.
What the United States title used to be. Because WCW had the United States title. That was much more important. I think Flair wouldn't have been a relevant world champion if he wasn't United States champion. I say Bret Hart wouldn't have been a relevant WWF champion if he wasn't Intercontinental champion. So, you know, that title is much more... He's proving that because the world title is not being defended on a weekly basis, this title will be defended on a weekly basis.
It's a true workhorse.
And I love it because Cody was that way. He did what Cena did with the United States title. He did open challenges. Brody was putting on his best work of his career with it. Darby is becoming a main event status because of it. And
it's showing a different style of wrestling that allows people to. So what? You know, he rolls up people and gets the 1, 2, 3 for the championship. That's awesome. I like seeing that. It's a variety. It's different.
He's fighting.
Yes.
He's fighting. And you brought... That's a very good point. That is a very good point. Because to be a fighting champion, it doesn't mean that you hit the finisher every time.
That's for the...
You just got to get... Sometimes you just got to get that W.
That's Kenny's job right now. That's Kenny's job. Kenny needs to hit the damn V trigger and the one winged angel. He's got it. That's a part of his, you know, choreographed things that he has to do. That's part of his responsibility to the fans. Darby, you know, we're expecting him to do 1 or 2 crazy shit, but he, of course, always does way more than that. But then does things like roll you up 1, 2, 3. And what the championship match is over. All right, that's entertainment right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And he puts on some banger matches too. One of my favorites is he went against Chris Jericho in a Philadelphia street fight.
Yes.
I think it was like the second or third Dynamite. That's the second or third Dynamite. And you're main eventing already. There is a lot of speculation that I believe that Darby will be the next world champion in some capacity in the next couple of years.
I think so, too.
But I think, you know, and I'll bring that up later. I'm not going to... I'm thinking on the top of my head, guys. It's a very thinking on top of our head type podcast today. But I love the guy. I really think that he's that good of a wrestler. I think he's proven himself. And I think because he is going to be defending the TNT title again... this coming week, that's week 6 of defending. So for a whole month and a half, Darby Allin really has been on a roll as far as, you know. No one's questioning where Darby Allin is when he's, you know, no one's saying that he didn't come to work. No one's saying that about him because he's there every week and he's wrestling every week. Who's saying he's not coming to work?
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's always there. And there's no question you're not going to see the television championship on television.
Oh, yeah.
That's never made sense to me. If
you're a champion, you need to be featured.
Yeah.
You need to be there. You need to put in your dates. You need to work. You're there. You were chosen to represent the network. You're
chosen to represent TNT. That's what I also love about the TNT Championship. We want to segue into that a little bit. It's just...
It's not...
It represents something so strong. It does.
So, you know, when you think of the world title, you're thinking of the company as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine. but having the responsibility to be the face of the network that puts you guys on TV, that's, to me, an even bigger responsibility than the world champion.
Oh, I agree.
That's just my opinion.
I agree.
Darby is the hottest commodity, and I wish nothing but success for him going forward. I just hope that he doesn't get an injury.
I know. He's done some crazy shit, man. The skateboard hits, the diving with the skateboard.
It's like you need a Xanax.
Yeah, you do. You need a Xanax to watch. But, man, I love it. And in real life, when I went down to Daly's place, I loved the seeing him. I got to see him sitting up in the rafters all the way up there. That was really cool to see. That I like that whole silent, and then when he needs to talk. And him and Sting, he speaks. And him and Sting, that's an interesting pairing. I knew something was going to happen there. Obviously, similar kind of characters. But I'm glad it wasn't necessarily like a huge passing of the torch kind of thing. It was more like, hey, kid, I see what you're doing here, and let's just go ahead and solidify the fact that you're kick-ass by putting you with one of the most kick-ass guys of all time who used to do similar shit just like you.
God. It's just the partnership. At first
Yeah.
It was like, oh, another legend and another up-and-coming. I got kind of tired of seeing it, but I see what Sting is doing. And I think the Sting and Darby pairing is just genius, to be honest. And that cinematic match that we watched,
that was
Revolution,
great cinematic match,
spectacular. Darby directed it, so he put a lot of heart and soul doing the moves, going back and watching the scenes, doing it again. I think he was very much in the editing room when they were doing it. So
it shows that he takes the time to care about what's being put out to the people.
Oh yeah. But I love the guy. Guys, he's going to be a champion one day, and I'm a world champion. He is a champion, but to be a world champion, to represent the company, he's well on his way. I believe so. Hangman Adam Page is too.
Yes, he is. He's getting back to the meat. Wow, Hangman. That we'll talk about him for a little bit too. That was a great run for him last year. Really entertaining to watch him. I love the stuff with the Dark Order. I liked the whole shtick that he had a little bit too much to drink every once in a while. Showed up late to the party. But you know what? He was still hard-hitting, and the interaction with the fans, that was great to see that stuff. You hadn't seen that stuff in a long time. They just want to do some cowboy shit and drink the fans' beers and come in, through the crowd late, a little drunk. It was really entertaining. It was American. It was funny. I liked it. And also he was just some of the killer in the ring. I think he used the nerves and the bigger audience to his advantage for sure,
Absolutely.
And it allowed him to interact with American fans for the first time in a long time.
Sure.
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
And the fact that the cowboy, that motherfucker, he rode a horse.
Oh yeah.
100 yards. Who else can say that you rode a horse down a professional football field in a professional wrestling match in the middle of the summer, in the middle of a pandemic? What?
Exactly.
Everything I just said in that sentence is all kinds of all over the place.
In hindsight, it wouldn't make sense.
It wouldn't, no.
It wouldn't make sense to a normal person, but if you had, it's kind of one of those you had to be there to see it type thing.
You had to live through this year to see, yeah.
Good lord. But, I mean, Hangman, I think he's coming back to Kenny Omega. That's the long story is, I think that's where they're going to. He's had a very clean record for 2021. Actually, one of the best. I think he's the number one ranked person. I don't think they're really going to, I don't know if they're going to, pull the trigger on it this Double or Nothing for it, but I think All Out, they're probably going to put them back together, for a championship match. I don't know where that's going, but I feel that's where they're going to. But it's good to see Hangman back in the main event. He's another
great.
One that could be a great champion.
Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy's doing really well. Money Matt, I like that little character move, and of course they had to do something over NXT to match that with Cameron Grimes. I'm so tired of this. Vince, come on, did you wake up and forget what year it was? It's not 1999 anymore. You don't have to do, just because they've got something on that network doesn't mean you need it on yours too. Come on.
I don't know if Vince had anything to say about that. I think NXT is basically Triple H.
Well, still, it's not 1999. Stop doing shit like that.
Hey, you could say that to AEW too. They tried to do that in 1999.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody's trying to bring back those old schools,
little
things that made them famous or whatever. But
Money Matt though, and a good run with him between Sammy Guevara. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was, but it got tiresome.
Scary bumps. Sammy, I will say.
Oh my God.
First off, Sammy's the king of bumps. He will take a bump. I've seen him take insane crashes and bumps, and I feel like a lot of the time he's like, all right, Sammy, you're going to fall like 30 feet through a glass table, through spikes, and a bunch of other shit. Sound good? Yeah, all right.
He did at Stadium Stampede.
Yeah.
He took the one-winged angel off, what was it, the middle of the stadium, it seemed like, and into,
Sammy will take a bump, man. The king of bumps.
He is.
Matt Hardy ran him over with a damn golf cart.
Good God Almighty. Quote JR, good God
Almighty. Good God Almighty. But then, man, what a scary match, though. We had a moment that happened with Matt and Sammy when Matt got powerbombed or something slammed off that top of that, what do you call them, those lifts they use in constructions.
Yeah, he was climbing up.
Oh, boy.
Sam just got him and just powerbombed, and his head just went crack.
Solid concrete. My good Lord. And Matt Hardy tried to stand up. He fell over. Everyone was watching. I was like, oh, man. Oh, Lord.
I said, and at that moment, when they restarted the match, to finish the match, I said, to hell with Tony Khan for that one.
Yeah, I was like, come on. Yeah.
That should never happen. If I were a promoter and my dude or my gal fell right on their head,
I would have figured something else out to do later. Yeah.
Like, we can save this for another day. It is okay.
It's all right.
The safety of the athlete. But I think Tony was very wrong. I think AEW management was wrong. Even though someone says, "Oh, I can continue,"
it was a big mistake. Really he was clearly concussed as a motherfucker. He couldn't stand up.
Duh. I mean, a 6-month med student can see that from a mile.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever. But Matt's having a great run.
Yeah.
I think that's how he wanted his career to end, and I'm liking it.
It's cool. It's a different Matt Hardy. Because you're not, you're not a lot of some people, he doesn't have to do that extreme, jump off the ladders and the rock and roll music. It's in the past. He doesn't have to do that anymore, and I'm glad that he does not force to do that. I like that we got a little bit of the broken Matt, a little taste of it, but now we're seeing, like you said, Matt Hardy on his way. I like the stuff he's doing Private Party too.
Yeah, he's just he just wants to finish his career, creatively, and still being relevant, not being, he just wants to finish on top.
I hope we get a glimpse of Dr. Matt Hardy. That'd be funny.
Yeah, I'm just hoping, he has, I think, another year or so left on his contract, so
just
he'll be fine. He'll be okay. I wish Jeff could go with him.
Me too.
And as much as I love Jeff in WWE, I think Jeff in AEW would be a whole lot better.
He would be.
Yeah. Who else are we talking
about? Let's say Cody and MJF. Right, I know we'll go back to the beginning a little bit, but
Doctor. We'll go to Doctor.
Yeah.
Dr. Britt. We have to talk about Dr. Britt.
MJF is just top 5, top 3 on the mic, first of all, I'd have to say. And beyond that, he's just pure gold in every other step of the way. The perfect heel. Perfect.
He is. He reminds me so much of Flair. He reminds me so much of just, the old school heel. But I hate to say it, but the way he talks just reminds me of what Flair was in the 80s. I'm good. And I'm backing it up. And I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
MJF is probably one of the most relevant stars in AEW. Him, Darby, and Jungle Boy, and Sammy Guevara are the pillars of AEW, the young talent, the foundation. I'm telling you, those guys, when Jericho and Matt and all of them go away,
which is going to happen because that's at the end. Very comfortable hands with MJF. Me as a fan, I sat the last couple years just hoping MJF would win a championship, but you know what? I know it's coming later, and I can't fucking wait.
I can't wait for it to be in a sold-out crowd.
I know.
There are a lot of people on Twitter who absolutely hate Max.
Mm-hmm.
They wish death on Max. There was one guy who's like, I hope you just choke and you just
because he does some heel shit like, I was at an AEW off television during the commercial break. He was screaming at the fans. He said something to the fan's significant other about her weight.
Oh yeah, he called.
And that's that's some heel shit right there. And not to mention also Max, the theater background, musical theater background, and you're able to translate that into the ring. Think about this. You got a theater kid, much like yourself, Jeremy, I have to say. You got a theater kid who was obsessed with ECW.
Yeah.
And grew up pretty athletically gifted, great values, lived for his family, lived for his religion, lived for his culture, and then comes into professional wrestling and just knocks it out of the park in every aspect.
He was bullied as a kid, too.
Because of his religion and because of his culture.
Because he was a Jew. He was Jewish, and I didn't mean to say a Jew. That's so bad. But he's his size.
Mm-hmm.
He was a pretty chubby kid too when he was younger, and wasn't all that big. He's not who he was now.
No.
At 25 years old. But I can relate. To be honest, I can relate to Max.
I can, yeah. And he's our age.
Yeah, he's basically our age. We're just a little bit older than him by a year. But we've been bullied. We've been questioned of why we do what we do. Like you being a singer and me being an actor. Like why is that? Isn't that fruity? We went to a performing arts school. That was kind of shunned upon when we were younger too.
Especially for males, yeah.
Exactly. Look at 2008 when we entered high school. The world wasn't really accepting of what it is now today.
They were hating on a community that didn't need to be hated on back then.
Period. But anyway, Max came into his own. He has taken this business by storm.
Yeah, he has.
And his performance at All Out against Jon Moxley was good.
Killer.
In fact, it was great. So he's going to be the one who's going to hang around, definitely. And he's definitely going to be a champion.
It's going to be great.
If it's a when.
And the work with Pinnacle, I was at the AEW when Pinnacle formed, and I'm so glad that I was. And obviously, I didn't know that was going to happen. So you just see random moments of these history, man. But I'm glad the Pinnacle, him and Sean Spears and FTR and Tully, it's great. And that night, you had 3 out of the 4 Horsemen in the same building.
Yep, you had J.J. Dillon, Arn Anderson, and Tully Blanchard. It would have been great if Rick
could have made it, yeah.
Barry Windham would have been there, but that would have kind of just been an awesome moment. But I love what he's doing with the Pinnacle.
Mm-hmm.
It's building up to probably a very exciting blood and guts match. AEW is going to put on something real great. They're going based on the old NWA WCW rules. Where it's going to be an amazing time.
I can imagine that we're going to see the tag belts on FTR, the World Championship on MJF, and the TNT title on Shawn all at the same time. I think that's going to happen. That's something that the Undisputed Era did, but that this is on a different level,
Oh, it would be in a completely different level. I think it would just solidify them as one of the greatest factions. I mean, no disrespect to UE, but they would be a very, very relevant faction since the Shield. And I mean that in the very, very best way. Because the Shield dominated. Pinnacle can dominate too. I don't think there's really been a faction that could even up to the Shield, to be honest. I think Inner Circle can. But Shield was actually, to me, the last best great faction in professional wrestling. Sorry to anybody who may disagree with me on that, but you know, you're not seeing anybody who's like UE is split, but they're not like having successful single runs. You know, Bobby Fish is nowhere to be found. Roddy's in limbo. Kyle is finding his way. We don't know much about
We have the potential that they're probably going to ruin Kyle. You just already saw from last week's episode that's probably going to ruin. Yeah.
But
anyways, but yeah.
The Pinnacle, you can split them up. Sean would have his own good career. FTR will have their good career. Wardlow, if he ever wants to go, Wardlow can be by himself.
Yeah.
But you know, and MJF will be fine by himself too. So
and look, Sean and Wardlow could be tag champs too. Imagine that.
Ooh. That's interesting.
But yeah. So yeah, we mentioned earlier in the podcast Cody Rhodes and his last name, and the fact that yes, of course, there is so much history of WCW and of TNT that I believe that AEW should have some rights or some kind of reserve to. I think that's a lot of it is their history, especially the people that are there production wise, and people, the big stars that are there. You know, look at everyone that you got. Sting, you got Big Show, you got Paul White, you got, you know, Eric Bischoff was there. For, you know, you've got Cody, who is trying to basically do what his father did in a modern level, in a modern way, and the dream, forgive me, is living on for him. And it never sat right with me that Vince McMahon and WCW, the WWE was just holding that over them, that he couldn't just call himself Cody Rhodes. He couldn't honor Dusty Rhodes. And of course they honor Dusty Rhodes every year at the Tag Classic, but with the formation of AEW, it just doesn't sit well with me. Like, Cody Rhodes should be able to honor his father in that aspect, because WCW, Dusty had so much to do with that too. Dusty had so much to do with TNT Network. So I mean, it was great when we were on Dynamite. We saw that, and you heard Justin say Cody Rhodes. It was such a heartwarming moment for me.
Yep, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes.
That to me was like, okay, there you go. He has himself again.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
I think that was the last piece to finally manifest himself, the man that we see him as today. Though great it was, you know, he made a name for himself without the Rhodes name.
Oh, yeah.
We all know he was Dusty's son. But I think to have the last name Rhodes, because Dustin has it, his wife has it.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of killed him to be like, oh, why can't I be a Rhodes?
Why can't I be Cody Rhodes? Yeah.
You know, I want to be a Rhodes, you know, and I am a Rhodes. And damn it, I'm doing the work. I'm doing what my dad did before me. So the day that he finally got, I think, if finally the transformation is complete, Cody Rhodes was on his own now.
And that emotional fight between him and Dustin, it was just incredible. And then the tag match that they had after that together, and just any other thing that Dustin and him have just done since then together, and Dustin alone on his own. Who knew at his age and everything that he's done in this business, he's still doing, you know, he's still relevant. He's still considered a contender, a superstar. Dustin Rhodes, you know.
I don't think Dustin was ever done.
Mm-mm.
I don't think Goldust was ever done either.
Yeah.
But, you know, how can I put this? You know, there's only so much of that character you can do, Goldust, without it being a parody.
Right.
At the end of the day. But I was kind of happy when he kind of just stripped himself of that, said goodbye to it, and came in and started with a fresh
A brand new slate, yeah. Dustin.
And he is putting on some matches. He's added some moves to his repertoire that he had.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the best shape. He's sober. He's living the best life that he can.
And he gets to work with his brother every day.
Oh, absolutely.
His family, his people he trains with, his gym. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gets to be an uncle.
Gets to be an uncle, yeah.
You know, he didn't get to be an uncle, but it's late in his life, but still.
And what a moment, too, man, when Cody, when he broke the throne.
Yes.
Because there were so many talks, you know, it's not uncommon news that NXT and WWE were looking at guys like, obviously Kenny Omega was looked at back at that time. They were looking at the Bucks. They were probably even talking about Cody a little bit, maybe trying to make a comeback, even though over Cody's probably dead body. But
sure, yeah.
The fact that he went out there and it was clearly an ode to Hunter and to WWE and everything else, and he picked up that sledgehammer and he turned around and he looked at the crowd, and this was probably one of the most acceptable kayfabe blurring moments of all time, to go in there and just destroy something that was so representative of such power and business power in another company. You know what I mean? And just to show that played out on AEW's level, Cody, man, that was one of, I don't know what size underwear he was wearing that night, but that was one of the biggest balls moments I'd ever seen, in my opinion.
I think he's pretty hung that night. You know, he did that. It really, to your point, yes, it broke the establishment. It was symbolic in many ways, saying we're breaking the establishment. We are not the establishment. We are different. We are breaking away from the traditions of sports entertainment, and we're bringing back what professional wrestling is. We don't need writers. We don't need we don't need 65 writers to figure out what to do with our wrestlers. We're going to give them that creative driving force. We're going to let them put the pedal to the metal, and we're going to give them the best, and we're going to give our audience the best product that, we can give. And they're doing it. So I'm glad you brought up that the throne breaking. He had a shirt for a long time that said Throne Breaker.
Throne Breaker, yeah.
On Pro Wrestling Tees. But I love the guy. I think he's really smart.
He is.
He really understands. He's very business minded. He's very Dusty. If you hear stories about Dusty, it's like Cody's doing the same.
Cody's doing the exact same thing, just at a modern level, and it's awesome. And Cody, if and when Cody decides to hang up the boots, the business, and that look what he's doing now with AEW at this young stage, when AEW is going to need, when Cody's all gray and can't dye his hair blonde anymore, they're going to need Cody around still to make those decisions and be around and be a part of that backstage. You're going to see how, like Bruce Pritchard and Jim Cornette and that motherfucker Russo, that's going to be a version of that, but better at AEW eventually. And instead it's going to be the Bucks and Cody and the Elite and, and Moxley. It's great. The company's going to be in good hands.
It is. They're really setting up, what I love is that they're really setting up the next generation for this. And
they're building talent and that little fucking nerd, Tony Khan, thank God for him, and he's doing very well, picking out, like a little farm system. He's using his business sense. He's using the fact that he owns 2 other teams and bringing that level to wrestling as well. It's very apparent what's happening. And
he owns a football club and the Jaguars.
Thank God he owned the Jags, because them going to Daly's place on Wednesday night was one of the greatest things that could have happened to them.
Absolutely.
It was a blessing in disguise.
He's so good. Him and his dad are so good. The Jaguars got #1 draft pick this year.
They did.
For the NFL draft. So
Tony Khan, if you ever hear this, our buddy Brett at Fair Kings Production, he has some stuff that he'd like to talk to you about the NFL. And you and I, we can talk about English football. I'm a big Chelsea fan, Tony, but yeah.
he's He's Fulham all the way, man.
Fulham,
Okay?
yep.
But I have to say, because he's not... Vince was never much of a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
To me, I think he just saw from his dad and thought he can make a circus out of it.
Paul Heyman said it himself. He said, Vince, you took your father's wrestling company and you turned it into an entertainment business. Who does that? Is what those exact words.
Exactly. One of the greatest pipe bomb promos to date. But I think you truly have a wrestling fan at the helm of it, who understands
who cares about this. Yeah.
Fans' frustrations and what they want to see. And he is very like, okay, because he thinks from a fan's perspective, oh, they want to see a War Games match. I want to see a War Games
Me too,
match.
yeah.
Let's do that. Yeah, great. We'll figure out a way.
And also, he's responsible, and he's there.
Yep.
I was at the at the AEWs that I've been to, and also at my talking to other friends at the end of the show. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for being here tonight. I hope you get home and drive safe. That's awesome. You see the man that's supposed to be in the backstage. You never get to see that with Vince or Hunter or anybody doing something like that. So
we appreciate your business.
Yeah, that's amazing. You're thanking the fans. He was excited to see people again. That's awesome. And and to talk about, and this will segue into our last topic, what'll be Dr. Britt and Thunder Rosa and everything. If you can see some of the footage, and we reported on it as well, right after that unsanctioned match with Britt and Thunder Rosa, he was there afterwards. He was at the ringside and was like, no, seriously, that was some of the best shit I've ever seen. As a fan and as a businessman, he was like, no, really, thank you for putting on this show that you just put. Thank you for putting on a spectacle. He said that to Britt. He was like, seriously, that was the fucking best thing I've seen. And it was.
Yeah.
It really was. And it just goes to show, like you said, that he is a fan and he cares.
He is. He very much is. And I knew that from the moment I've seen interviews about him. He's passionate about what he does. And if he believes in it, he is, no pun intended, but he's all in. And he's, and he goes all out, he believes in it. And he's doing a great job. And I think, he has a lot up his sleeve, and he's really, working towards bringing back, the audience full time back to arenas. He really is, particular. Yeah. And I'm glad that people get a chance, those wrestlers get a chance to work with Tony Khan.
Yeah.
So I give it to him. He does seem like he's self-indulgent.
A little bit, yeah.
He seems like he drinks his own Kool-Aid quite a bit, but other than that, he's just a confident guy. He's very smart. He believes in his abilities. All right, to the doctor.
The last one more right before we talk about Britt. I just want to say Eddie Kingston with the whole freaking exploding ring thing. You did your job. It's not on you, bro. You did what you were told to go out and do.
God bless you.
God bless.
AJ and I were very, very confused. I don't think I've ever been more confused at a wrestling.
Me neither.
I'm like, okay.
That was AEW's one.
Show.
Yeah, that was.
It's like watching a fireworks show, and then just sparklers are the grand.
I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
It left it like a pretty big, like, oh man, you had like probably the best match and probably the best pay-per-view. But anyway, long live the sparkler.
Long live the sparkler ending. But Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, she'll see you now. Wow. Thank goodness.
By God, Baker.
I hope that Adam Cole at home is giving her some massages, because her back's got to be hurting from carrying the women's division, man. It's
breaking.
It's got to be break. I hope she's got a great chiropractor, because she thank goodness, because she saved the pandemic era. Because like we said at the beginning of the podcast, the women's division took a hit. It really did.
Not a good. It was.
I watched Chris Statlander probably lost her career right in front of us on television. Hopefully not, but right then, right at the very beginning. Is she doing back? She's doing all right?
She's doing all right.
Oh, thank God. Because that knee injury, whew.
It was a very bad, I think
Whew.
it was an ACL or whatever it was. It was pretty bad.
I watched that. I was like, my goodness, that was like almost an Edge moment right there.
Yeah, it could have been. She could have had a retirement moment, but she's back.
Thank goodness.
Statlander's great. I love Statlander. She was an AEW Dark Girl, but she moved her way up. But Britt, the unsung hero, but she was always destined to be in the position that she was in.
Yes.
That she is in today.
The heel, the women's heel that we didn't know we needed.
Yeah, I mean, Britt is just doggone special. Those are kind of like it's what I call those once in a lifetime finds. One of those once in a moment type situations where she just took the ball and it became a golden moment. You know, I always believed Britt was always going to be the first AEW Women's World Champion.
I thought so.
But when she wasn't ranked, when she wasn't, given those opportunities as often, I kind of got worried. What happened to the Britt train? And it's fully in motion.
I was worried too, because I was afraid that it was going to get wrote off a little bit, especially with just the amount of comedy segments, and then less.
I like Reba. Yeah.
It unfortunately became a little bit less in-ring stuff and more television stuff, and I was worried too. Now that you bring that up, I was like, oh no. But
she's great.
She is, and
if it wasn't for the unsanctioned match with Thunder Rosa,
that unsanctioned match, good lord.
If they didn't tear the house down like they did.
If Daly's Place had a roof on it, it would have fell off.
It sure would. I mean, it has a roof, but it's not, it's still theater. So you have a point. Yeah. But, I mean, Britt, man, if you don't believe, she is going to be the one to beat Hikaru Shida. Period. End of story. Hikaru Shida, who is a fighting champion.
In and out,
the pandemic. She only lost her title for like 30 days, really. And she's really been champion since the last Double or Nothing. She's been a consistent champion. But I think because of where Britt's going, Britt is going to...
It's going to be one hell of a heel run for that championship, let me tell you.
And I hope she has it for a long time.
Oh boy. But yes, that unsanctioned match, and also Thunder Rosa, what an incredible worker she is too.
Yes.
And great work that she did with the NWA, wow, she's great too. But the unsanctioned match they put on together was just something special that would be considered probably one of the best women's matches I've ever seen, probably hopefully of all time when they talk about this stuff.
It will definitely be in the history books for sure.
And they proved like that women can be really taken seriously in this thing finally. Like they showed, like, look what we're willing to go out there and do right now in the main event of a fucking show, primetime television, when you've got a lot of people on your eyes. You've got, just all that recent stuff with Shaq. You've got Cody doing stuff with the game shows and stuff like that. Brandy's pregnant. You got, stuff going on with Jericho and the Pinnacle. You've got a lot of stuff people watching at this time right now, and you went into the main event and just put on a spectacle. That's why I said you give Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker whatever they want. You give them whatever they want, please. They deserved it after that match.
They're going to be an all-time great rivalry. If you think of Flair and Steamboat, you're going to think, you're going to think also Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. They're not done. Their competition is just getting started. And but Britt, man, come on, guys. Gotta give this woman.
Yeah, what a bleeding.
Women were bleeding. I've never seen blood on a woman's face, and a lot of people.
That was a crazy blood job, a nuts blood job.
A lot of women would say, "Oh my God, that's overindulgent."
No, that's badass, is what it is.
That shows little girls that I can do what a man can do, and I can do better.
And they were doing
That's how I saw it.
a lot of shit. I've seen so many unsanctioned matches in WWE or DQ or no holds barred or Extreme Rules, whatever the fuck you want to call it, when it's very less than that. The extreme part was what didn't even happen. I mean, at WrestleMania alone, not to take away from it, Apollo Crews versus Big E was supposed to be a street fight, and I don't know what the fuck I was watching, I'll be honest. But
Nigeria fight.
It's
a music class instrument match.
I didn't know what the fuck, I don't know, but they put on what really truly meant to be unsanctioned. They were doing crashes through tables, ladder slams, freaking the thumbtacks all over their backs and their feet and their calves, and slaps, and the bleeding, the pouring blood down their face.
It wasn't just a random here's a little cut.
Yeah.
That was her face.
I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, I can't believe what I'm watching right now, what they're doing right on television.
And it's good. It's great. It's what they want to be, the face of their division.
Mm-hmm.
They're hungry. And I think that was Britt trying to tell Tony too. I'm tired of playing back.
That's how you prove yourself. That's how you make stars too, right there.
Now look, she's the number 1 ranked woman in the AEW women's division. She is next in line to face Hikaru Shida, probably at Double or Nothing, and probably will beat her. And I love Hikaru Shida, but I'll be happy when Britt Baker wins.
Yes.
Because it would just prove that all along she is the leader of the women's division, and she has proven it, and she will continue to prove it in the months and days ahead.
I cannot wait, man. But
if we're getting this much action in year 2 already of AEW,
thank goodness too. Yeah.
How many more years of great action we're going to get?
That little company that everyone said was going to dissipate off, and they even made fun of it at the WWE Hall of Fame, and
the sand company.
And everyone thought, they're going to close their doors, and then the pandemic's coming. They're going to close their doors for that too. No, they proved the world wrong, and they're continuing to do it. And I don't understand some of the criticism from other podcasters, because I'm watching it. I've seen it live. I'm entertained. It's not bad. I don't understand when people are saying that it's bad, because they wanted to do some comedy shit this summer and throw in Chris Jericho and MJF singing. That's hysterical. That's entertaining. That's something I'm willing to turn on my television for.
Look at Kurt Angle and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Jimmy Crackcorn and I Don't Care. Look at The Rock, This Is Your Life.
Mm-hmm.
Look at, all those other entertainment segments. That's Attitude Era stuff.
Yes.
That's been in pro wrestling for forever. You're asking for Attitude Era, you're getting that.
The Stadium Stampede match was nothing different than anything that WWE's done in any kind of, weird capacity. This was something that was really cool. That was something that was lighthearted. It was needed. It was something because everyone was sitting inside. They hadn't been entertained. They were not used to watching and listening to sports that they had been. So they just needed a break, and they gave us that with that Stadium Stampede. AEW's done that so many times throughout this pandemic. They've given us a break. They've given us a chance to enjoy wrestling. I remember when Chris Jericho, when the fans first came back over the summer, and they sang Judas again, and you saw Jericho look around and smile, and it was true. That was genuine feelings that these guys are having, because they really care about the people that are watching and the people that are paying the money to come through the door. It's not that expensive to watch AEW. It's not.
Not in today's world.
No.
Era.
And even beforehand, it wasn't even that bad neither.
No, there weren't. It's affordable. It was very affordable because, the bad seats, the upper seats would be $20.
Yeah.
Affordable, and the floor seats would be $100. But it got really. Here's the loophole, though. If you want to get ringside, actual ringside first row, it's in the.
Yeah. Of course, but.
Yeah, but. Everywhere else.
For a casual fan, you're all right. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I want to say, with the dinner, when we're talking about the Max and Chris Jericho.
Debonair, yeah.
it was, yeah, some people will find it cheesy.
Of course.
But it ain't Mickey Mouse like what, it ain't Mickey Mouse what they do in WWE. It's not cringeworthy.
And Max can sing too. Got some pipes.
and you being a singer, you would know that.
Yeah.
He has good pitch. He has good diction. He was really good. And I was like, that can't be him singing. But I had to remember he was a theater kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a part of the Glee Club as well, too.
Yeah.
There's, like, actual videos of him in high school singing.
I know what it's like to be a part of a Glee Club, Max. That's on my high school transcripts. It says Glee Club 4 years in a row.
Listen, guys, it's no lie. I can attest. I
was
there. I was there.
But no, but AEW, man, they've continued to shock the world. They continue to surprise everyone, and have just done incredible things the last couple of years. Of course, they've had some slip-ups. They've had some things that maybe not so entertaining. Over the pandemic, a couple of times, I didn't stick around and watch the main event. Of course, they're not perfect people. We're not going to sit here and say that this is, the greatest thing since sliced bread and peanut butter. But here's the thing. But it has a chance to be. It has a great chance to be peanut butter and jelly, if you know what I'm saying. It has a chance to compete in this sandwich world. But it's strong. Yeah.
Especially when NXT moved to Tuesdays, and now they're solely on Wednesdays by themselves. They're pulling in I think SmackDown numbers like 1.2 million viewers, and they are killing the 18 to 49 demographic.
Do not forget, they beat them at Raw. They beat that, and that's something no one has been able to say for a long time.
20 years, nobody has.
For most of my life, no one has beaten Monday Night Raw.
And quite frankly, like I said, Vince has to have his head on a swivel, because there will be a time where Tony's like, all right, we're done here on Wednesdays. We're going to Mondays or Fridays.
There's going to be another show. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. It always does.
Be careful, because I think this is a company that can really take it to Vince, and that's not...
And my closing thoughts on AEW as well, I appreciate the fact there's not 100 fucking championships. I like the faction stuff. It's cool. It adds like a collegiate feel to it. I like the ranking system, the 20-minute time limit shit. Don't ever stop that. The hour time limit thing, that's really cool. I like all that stuff. It's just, it's different. Very sports-centric to watch, yeah.
But I think, guys, we have reached our time here on this Sunday. But that's when we record it. But for all of you on Spotify and Apple, we're greatly appreciative of your lending your ears these past couple hours. AJ and I greatly appreciate every piece of business you can give us. From the bottom of my heart, I'm very appreciative to be here.
Me too.
AJ, I think you could say the same.
I'm glad,
But the best is yet to come. We are this summer, I think we're gonna have a lot.
And AEW doesn't put on a lot of pay-per-views, and I'm glad for that. I'm real glad for that. I don't need to watch a pay-per-view every fucking month. So that's why it's more significant when you guys do come by our watch parties for AEW, because it's, it has a better pay-per-view entertainment value, in my opinion.
Well, who knows, because I'm 90% sure we'll be together for Double.
I hope so, yeah.
At the end of the month, because I would love to be in Jacksonville for that.
Yeah.
I think pretty much we will be together, so that'll be, wow, AJ and Jeremy's first live.
We're praying. We're hoping it's probably going to happen, most likely.
Our first live broadcast together.
Together, yeah.
Instead of this.
And we'll do one in person as well.
We'll do a sit down
and
in-person interviews, and we'll do what we got to do. But the best is coming, guys. This summer, buckle your seatbelts. It's going to be a fun ride. And
buckle your seatbelts for the coming week too, guys.
Oh yes, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, King of the Ring kicks off. We've got other stuff coming on. We had an interview. Ron Bass Jr. He's next up on the list. Ronnie Bass. Samuel C. on the list. We're trying to get Ripper and Rockwell to talk about their new gimmick. Of course, Ripper Zabisco, Larry Zabisco's son.
That's crazy. The living legend.
The living legend.
Legacy now.
Yeah.
I read about that.
Great guy. I love him. Yeah. Big fan of
Chico back on the show.
We'll try and get Chico. Yeah, I want to talk to him about WrestleMania. I'm going to reach out to Chico again. Alex the Pug, he owns Pro Wrestling 2.0. He's interested in doing a show with us. And then also we heard from The Shade today. He said some stuff's going on for y'all in Vegas. You guys are working some more interviews over there.
May 2. I got some stuff. May 2nd is the next show.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to plug in as much as I can over there. But we got a lot coming. I want to get Shade back on the show. I want to get his friend Project West on Project West. He's really funny, those two.
Project West, great. Yeah.
They're great. Put them together. Hopefully we can get them together.
And we'll try to get El Nazarano, the luchador. He wants to do a show with us too. And guys, bring a thing of tissues with you because he's so funny. He's going to crack you up the whole time. It's going to be good. But yeah, a lot of good stuff coming up. I'm glad. And Tag Out's really taken off, man. I'm loving it, crew. The Tag Out crew. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're hitting up month 4.
Yep.
Coming up, our 4-month
that is right.
anniversary. And, we're getting there, guys.
Yeah.
But it's all thanks to you for lending your ears.
Yes, sir.
Well,
guys, thank you for tagging out for us. Shout out Eric. He just says, great pod. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys tomorrow night for King of the Ring. It's going to be so much fun. And stay tuned after that. Jeremy's going to review the show the following day. But, guys, my name is AJ East Coast, and I have been your host. And we're tagging out, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye, guys.